Casper and Dennis here for Submission Radio, proudly brought to you by Masashi. Here with Nadia Kassem, just the head of UFC 243. And we heard the other day that you've got a bit of an obsession with lollies. Is this true? You're looking slim and trim today, but what is this lolly obsession you've got going?
Honestly, I'm obsessed. Like sour lollies, anything. Like, I don't know, anything sweet really. I think all things that are bad for you, that things that I love. So that's a problem in itself, but it's all right. I can wait a few more days.
Is this something new, or is this something always that you've had going
Not
for
always. I've always had a sweet tooth. Not so much a chocolate person, but like I love lollies. So everyone's got their preferences.
You say sour, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, but is there a ranking? If we go top three, is there?
Oh yeah, no, I can deal with the most sour stuff. Like Sour Patch is nothing. Like I want the hot stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Might cop it later, but it's worth it in the moment, so I'll do it.
I feel like the corner has some lollies prepared if everything goes to plan this weekend. Would I be right?
Oh, hopefully. I mean...
Tati Vasa's doing shoeys. You're eating sour
lollies. Watch me just like a worm. So like,
dipping them in some alcohol.
You've been doing some strength and conditioning, though, recently, right?
Yeah.
We noticed you've sort of added on the muscle. Where did that come about, and what made you want to do that?
I was always kind of implementing the strength and conditioning, but I wasn't as consistent. Like I was doing just 2 or 3, but they were rushed sessions because I was working full-time, like coaching. So I was trying to like really... With like rushing it, obviously it wasn't like getting the work in and like you don't get to learn properly. So now I'm doing like 4 days a week in the mornings, like spending 2 to 2.5 hours with my trainer where you're learning and then, you know, obviously building the muscle and the strength and the power. And I've come a long way and I can see it, I can feel it. People saying, you know, you look this way or you're more explosive. And when someone else notices, not just yourself and your coaches, like you know something, you're doing something right.
You know what the funny thing is? It just feels like yesterday you were making your UFC debut, and now you're kind of like becoming a UFC veteran at such a young age.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're only 23 still.
Yeah, exactly right. Even I forgot. I was like, what?
Well, I was gonna say, looking back on that debut, how's the journey been compared to what you thought it would be like? I mean, did it match up to some of your expectations? Is it a bit different? Sort of talk us through it.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I think the first one, I was bit careless with everything, so I think that's why I was so fearless coming in, because I just didn't care. I had the attitude, and I was 21 years old, and then you know, after a bit of a downfall and then having the time off, coming back, I did feel like better. I'm more of an athlete for the last fight, but obviously didn't perform, and that's why I had to like put in different things this time. But I think I'm growing mentally, as not just as a fighter but as a person too, so that's like coming into play with my career, and yeah, it's working in my favor. So I really hope that this time around I can actually perform.
One of the things that, I guess the fascinating things that you spoke about leading to your last fight was sort of, and you already know what I'm going to talk about, you know, sort of the mental battle. I believe you were going through depression. You know, what was it like to sort of, you know, get that off your chest and put it out there? Because we see guys like sort of Robert Whittaker going out and talking about him battling depression. And I think it sort of makes a lot of people feel a lot more comfortable to sort of bring that to light.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't really like sure what type of response I would receive. Like I didn't want anyone to be like, oh, she was saying it to like get a sob story type thing. So it definitely is not about that. But I got a lot of positive messages and people who would, you know, hit me up and say, oh, like you've allowed me to open up and feel more comfortable in my skin and, you know, express how I feel, you know. And it's actually like really nice to see that, because I know a lot of people are either embarrassed or they think, you know, it's not normal, or, you know, there's a stigma attached to it, and it's I'm really trying to, like, I'm happy to, you know, let people feel comfortable and, you know, say what they want to say to me. So it's kind of cool, the response I've been getting.
And I think like with physical injuries, it's something that you can put a date on, like a broken arm's going to heal in 6 weeks, or this is going to, but mental battle is something that, you know, it's a lot more tricky, and sometimes it lasts with you a lifetime. So I'm wondering, sort of heading into this fight, you know, how are you feeling and sort of where you at in that sense?
Yeah, it was good. If I ever felt like I was losing touch with my own self, like, I mean, I have health professionals that have been assisting me along the way, not a sports psychologist, but just a general psychologist, and, you know, just consulting with my coaches and making sure that I'm in the zone and I'm feeling comfortable. And even if I'm not putting my comfort zone out of it, that's cool, but like, I just got to know it's professional, and I feel like I'm growing mentally as well, so it's all been really good in that way, but it's been great.
You mentioned that you didn't feel like you performed in your last outing, UFC 234, but what do you take away from that experience and that fight? I suppose every time you step out here for the UFC, it's something new that you feel and something new that you sort of pick up. What did you pick up in Melbourne last time?
I mean, it's kind of good because obviously I was undefeated, so I didn't really get to, like, okay, I need to work on this and this. So last time I obviously got a great girl who's a wrestler, so wrestling has been something that I've been really working. If anything, I've been like wrestling this whole camp. And so, you know, you get to work on your downfalls and everything, and then you kind of just reassess everything, like, oh, wow, like you start to doubt everything you've ever done. So, you know, you do your simple boxing, you do your wrestling, you do extra strength and conditioning, you do extra cardio, and I think that forces you to be someone else.
Is this kind of the ideal scenario for you landing on this card? Because I know originally, I think they wanted you on UFC 241 with Nate Diaz, which is something that you were super excited about. But then it's like, well, you ended up on UFC 243. Just a small little UFC 243. Is it kind of a blessing in disguise that you weren't on 241? Because then you probably wouldn't be fighting here on this card.
Yeah, maybe I would have, but the thing is, at that time, I was still injured from the MCL tear that I got from the armbar, so I wouldn't have been able to do it. But obviously, depending on health, but it's a great experience, and I'm going blessed that I get to do it again in Melbourne, you know, and make a comeback here, you know. I'm coming with a vengeance this weekend,
Yeah.
so, you know, there's a lot to prove.
I was going to say, what does it mean for you to be 23 years old, you know, still young and early days in your UFC career, and to be on such a massive milestone event? And, you know, for reference, like Rob Whittaker was on UFC 193, and he was sort of, you know, in the middle of the card, and now here he is main eventing. You know, that's something that could be you in a few years.
Yeah, it was crazy, because I actually attended 193 as a fan, like as a Rousey fan. So
were you fighting at the time?
No,
at all,
I
not
was
training?
fighting, but yeah, I was a professional, but I wasn't in the UFC. I never thought I would have been in the UFC. But
You came in as a Rousey fan?
I came in as a Rousey fan.
A rough afternoon for Nadia back in those days.
I remember it was my birthday that day too, and I went back to the hotel and I was crying, and I was like, I'm not going out. Like, I literally was crying for Rousey because I was like obsessed with her in the way where she was inspiring. And it's crazy. I remember seeing Rob on the card, Jake Matthews on the card too, and I never would have thought that would have been on the same card as them. So it's cool. Like, I don't fangirl over anyone except for her, of course, Rousey. But it's awesome that like we're on the same level now. So the growth has been real.
I'm just wondering with Rousey, she's gotten a lot of flack lately now that she's left MMA, gone to the WWE, doing her own sort of thing. What are your thoughts about her, and what was it about her that sort of made you such a big fan and inspired you so much?
I mean, I wasn't really exposed much to MMA until I was about 17, 16, when my brother was training. So I watched The Ultimate Fighter with Rousey and Tate as the coaches, and then something about her demeanor and the way she would just carry herself was like, kind of had my personality in a way, but obviously I wasn't an athlete to understand. But as I got more into it and understanding, like she kind of was like the base of my inspiration, so I kind of went on from there. But you know, her just dropping off after her last 2 losses, she went to WWE, she's making decent money there, she's doing the acting thing, like she's married, she's doing her own thing now, so everyone goes from it. She did a lot for the sport, she did well, she set a platform for all the females, so really, no one can take anything away from her. Everyone could talk as much shit as they want, but really, like, they can't.
I'd love to see like a Nadia, Ronda Rousey sort of meet up one day, you know.
Yeah, I might be fangirling there. It'd be a bit weird for me. I'd be like,
Side of you we've never seen before.
Yeah.
My birthday at UFC 193.
I know. Sign my thing now. And I've never been like that with anyone, so yeah, she's probably the only person.
So like, out of every celebrity, anybody,
Like,
she's the only kind of person that does it for you. Wow.
Yeah.
I was wondering, you know, like you made your debut at UFC Sydney. Obviously, you're from Western Sydney, so that would be a big deal. But this is in an arena. This is a stadium. It's going to be that much bigger. What are you expecting when you actually make your entrance in front of that many more people, and what that crowd and that moment's going to be like? Because you've seen it firsthand from the other side. You've been a fan. What do you think it's going to be like when you make that walk?
It's going to be amazingly loud, obviously. But I mean, I know I'm fighting early, so it might not be like as packed. But either way, just seeing how big the stadium will be, it's amazing. So, I mean, it won't affect me whether it's 16,000 or 60,000. But it's just a great atmosphere to be on.
What do you think of your opponent going in here? Because she's quite tough. She's very strategic, and no doubt about it, she's going to try and utilize a game plan of probably trying to take you down, trying to get you to work off your back, trying to maybe even stay away from being in striking range and getting in a position where you can land on her. How do you sort of prepare for something like that? And is there a set strategy that you guys have been implementing? I know you mentioned the wrestling going into this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched her previous fights. She's got great boxing, and she's very clean, sharp, and she's composed. And I've noticed that where you know, you can't try and beat someone at their own game. So I've been doing things around it to see how I can, you know, enter in and do whatever. Whether I'm happy to strike, box, kick, wrestle, jiu-jitsu, whatever it is. I feel like I've covered all the bases this time around, and I should be able to do whatever I can. But we've got a few game plan options, and if it stays standing, that's cool. If I don't like it, we'll try hit the floor, you know. So whatever it is, just gotta be myself and bring out the 187, and she can feel it hopefully that way.
The 187 is the area code in Sydney.
No,
right?
so it's a murder code. It's like in the police
even
code.
better.
Yeah, so like we've got a 187 here, speaker, like with the coppers. So that is like something that's kind of stuck to me. It's been a nickname when I was younger, and it just kind of stuck to me growing up. Yeah, I know, it's very funny.
So the cops should be on standby at 2:43, right?
No, we're good.
Is there a move that goes on the 187? I know like Nate has the Stockton slap. What's the 187?
Yeah, no, there's
move?
no signature move.
I feel like an elbow drop maybe. Like
Hopefully
like
we can bring one.
Yeah.
We can bring one.
I'm wondering because obviously you have so many fans down here. People are so excited about you being in the company. But if things go to plan this Sunday and we're looking forward into the future, would you be interested to fight more overseas, grow your fan base all around the place, and hopefully if you're injury free, fight more frequently in 2019?
Oh, definitely. I mean, like just fighting twice this year has been great, and that's not enough for me though, because obviously the injury I couldn't, but ideally I'd like to fight 3 to 4 times a year, and obviously if I do win this fight, then the UFC would happily take me international. I think they're just kind of keeping me on the local scene at the moment, trying to build my name here, and then get the more reputable names internationally.
As we let you go, just want to get your thoughts on the main event because we're asking everybody to sort of give their thoughts, get their predictions.
Yeah.
Rob and Israel, it's such a tough fight to predict. I'm wondering, first of all, how do you see the fight going, and are you sort of leaning towards anyone? Because we're getting guys from like both camps, obviously, so you understand the bias. I feel like you're somewhere in the middle. I don't know who you would lean towards.
Yeah, I don't really have like a personal connection with either. So, but
you're not impressed. You're on the same level now, right?
No, but I've met them both and everything.
They're not Ronda Rousey, so
yeah, it's not the same. But no, jokes. But I feel like Whittaker's got it in the bag. This one, I feel like he's stronger, more well-rounded. He might not be as tricky and things like that, but I feel like he's really tough and he's a grinder. So I think he'll come out with a win this weekend.
And as we look at Nadia 3.0 going into here in Melbourne, what can people expect from a Sunday morning performance here in Melbourne?
It's going to be aggressive, I'll say that much.
The 187 is going to come out.
Yeah, heaps of blood too.
All right, awesome.
Blood's coming.
I love the way she says it too. It's just like lots of blood, people will be dead. 187 should be fun.
See, I'm out now.
Get some body bags ready for Nadia at UFC 243.
Yeah, just hoping it's not me, but that's
yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
No, all good. Had fun.